And all you spring nuts out there, if you haven't done so already, what the hell are you waiting for? Get get on your phones, on your computers, on your tablets. Tell all your family and friends. Heck, tell your enemies for the love of God. If anyone can bring people together, it's music and Jake Thistle. And tell everyone out there to vote, vote, vote. Vote as many times as you can for Jake and to make it to the next round. So let's do this, peeps.
Thank you.
Also, okay, before we start, I want to welcome the host of our cafe, Mr. Ryan Hillegas, who will be manning the helm as always. My beautiful wife and my spring nuts partner, and definitely my partner in life, Mrs. Julie Chaz.
Hello.
And last but definitely not least, the pride of Ocean Grove, New Jersey, and our living, breathing Google of all Springsteen and Jersey, Mr. Stan Goldstein.
Yeah.
Woo!
I just want to thank from the outset Jake for choosing to do this first post American fan vote interview with us on the Spring Nut Cafe, and thanking American Idol and Disney for allowing us to have the honor and privilege and the permission to have Jake on our show. Goes without saying, it's a huge understatement how everyone, not only in Asbury Park, not only in Spring Nuts and in the Springsteen and the music universe, loves and are so proud of Jake. And again, it's a privilege and blessing to call Jake a member of Spring Nuts, and even more so to call him our friend. So with all that said, I'm going to hand it over to Ryan, and let's get down to Jake Thistle business on the Spring Nuts Cafe.
Thank you.
All right. Jake, welcome. Pleasure to talk to you again. Good to see you. Last time I
Yeah.
saw you, you're on stage at the Count Basie in Red Bank. You and Adam Ezra were singing with Joe Durso, Light of
Oh,
Day.
that's right. Yeah, that was a sort of our first reunion post the Europe tour, which was a lot of fun to see those guys again.
I got very lucky. I was in the first few rows of the theater thanks to Tony Pellegrossi. But anyway, the first year I went was 2020, right before COVID. And I remember very clearly I had heard about you, but I didn't know you very well. But I saw you sitting with your dad, I think, a couple rows in front of me in the theater at the Paramount. And then I saw you up there with Adam and Joe, and I was like, wow, in 5 or 6 years, you've gone a very long way in that time. So, big steps for you to make that jump from sitting in the theater and watching to being on stage and being a main performer.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that was 2020 was my first Light of Day too, so it was certainly a great year to go. And that was a really good way to sort of jump in the deep end of the Light of Day universe, you know.
Well, we want everybody to get to know you, so if you don't mind, kind of start us off with as much as you want to reveal about yourself and your family and where you grew up and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Jake. I'm from New Jersey. It feels like I'm about to play an American Idol song. That's what we always say when we start too. But I'm Jake. I'm from New Jersey. I'm 21. I've grew up around music my entire life. I've been a really big fan of just music in general. I started out when I was three. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers played the Super Bowl halftime show, and it was kind of like my aha moment that I knew that's kind of what I wanted to do. And so I started playing live, gigs when I was nine, and it just really snowballed from there. And I pull from a really great wealth of, incredible songwriters that I look up to. But really, I just have a great time doing it, and I would be doing it sitting in this chair whether there were people on the screen or not. So I'm just glad that I have people to talk to and listen and have a good time with.
So were your parents big into music too? Were you listening to what they were listening to, or what were your kind of musical tastes when you were little?
No, I mean, they're music fans for sure, but I'm the only musician that I know of in the family, and so it all came from the early days of YouTube and at being 3 years old and loving Tom Petty from that one performance was really sort of a life-changing thing for me. And then I would go on YouTube, and it would recommend me Traveling Wilburys and George Harrison and Bob Dylan, and like that's how I started to sort of develop my musical taste at a really young age. Was just I didn't really even know what I was listening to. I just kind of knew I liked it, and it evolved from there. Truthfully, I was a little. I was gonna say I was a little later to the train on Bruce, but I guess I was like 10, but that feels later because I started listening to Petty when I was three. But being a guy that was playing on the street corner in New Jersey, I got a lot of Bruce requests, and so I sort of begrudgingly learned my first song or two because it was just like everyone's saying I have to play this guy, and what if I don't want to? And I was like, oh, okay, well, it actually is really good. And then So I posted on Facebook a couple covers and they did well, and then I was offered to go out to the UK to do, I guess it was two-hour sets of Bruce. And at that time I was I think I was 12, about to turn 12. And that was a real dive into the deep end of learning Bruce because I had to learn about 4 hours worth of songs. And so, the thing for me, I'm already rambling on about Bruce because of the podcast I'm on right now. But the thing about me is like because I can look at these guys who at the time had 40-year, now 50-year careers. I see everything from a bird's eye view. So like for me, Born to Run came out the same day as Ghost of Tom Joad because that's when I heard both of them. So it came out whatever day I happened to pull them up. So I've had a great time pulling from my influences in that sense too, and seeing everything sort of on a flat timeline as opposed to living through the evolution.
Huh.
Interesting. Interesting that you saw Tom. Like, I'm wondering if you had seen Prince or you had seen Bruce as your first Super Bowl show. Like, if that would have made that, what kind of difference that would have made, if anything. But it sounds like you were right in that zone. Last night, the Oscars were on, and one battle after another won several awards: Best Picture, Best Original Script. The girl, I was peeved that Infinity Chase did not get some type of nomination because she really carried the movie for
Hmm.
those that watched the movie. And it was such a classic, one of the greatest needle drops of all time. The very last scene of the movie, Infinity Chase is going out the door. She's going to go help with the revolution. And what comes on the music? American Girl. And I was like, oh my God, such a classic use of music. So it's timeless. Like,
Yeah,
Tom, Bruce, Prince, all these different they're timeless. So
yeah, yeah. That first like three strums of American Girl when it goes. That's like my sleeper agent wake up call. Like I just become a 4-year-old again. Like I'm just sitting there too tall for my desk typing on YouTube.
Aw.
so you knew that you loved music, but you didn't know how to do that at that point in time. So like, did you take lessons? What was your first instrument? Walk us through
Yeah.
your development.
Well, when I was really young, we have a family friend, one of my dad's best friend's sons, who's older than me, probably by about 7 years or something like that. But he had a, he was a, he's a great guitar player, and when I was very young, he gave me a guitar just because I was a toddler and it made noise and like that was kind of cool. But I didn't have much interest beyond that, and eventually I grew out of it because as a 5-year-old, I wanted to play with an action figure or something and not just make noise. And so when I was 9, his mother had gotten sentimental about the guitar because it was his first ever guitar, and he was getting really good, and he knew that's what he wanted to do. So they said, "We might want that guitar back because it's his first guitar." And I was like, "Absolutely, it's no problem. I haven't touched it in years." So I found it, gave it back to him. But they felt so bad about taking it that they replaced it with a really nice guitar. And so at the time, I was 9. It seemed like too nice of a guitar to have and not know how to play. So he taught me my first couple chords that day, sort of on the trade off, of the two guitars. And after that, I really just started to, go crazy on YouTube and learn as much as I could. And, I didn't take a lot of formal lessons like out of a book or anything like that. I mostly just picked songs I wanted to learn and worked hard at learning them and then sort of accidentally picked up musical ideas through that. I didn't know I was learning like an E minor chord when I started learning I Won't Back Down. I just started learning I Won't Back Down and then I noticed these chords showing up other places. So that was really my first way of sort of casting a net into doing all that. But I think that's one of the reasons I stuck with it was because I was just keeping myself interested doing what I wanted to do and not like, no shade against like, the Mel Bay books, but like they are a little bit more academic and I might not have stuck with it in that sense.
Well, you're not alone. Most of the people that we've talked to, musicians on here, they didn't take musical lessons. They just learned by ear. It's just what came to them. Some of them did learn music. Well, you're similar to Bruce. Bruce saw Elvis on Ed Sullivan when he was 7 years old, and Mom, let's go down and get the guitar. So she did. She rented him a guitar and gave him Mel Bay book lessons, and he decided very quickly, very similar to you, I'm done with this. I can't even
Right.
get my fingers around the neck. I can't make anything. It's just making a noise. I'm done with this. And then later, when the Beatles were on, he was a little bit older. That's when he was able to develop his skills. So you're not alone in that.
Yeah. Well, I'm honored to be in the club.
Jake, what was your first show, not family, but performing for people? Was it in school where you may have said, I like doing this?
Well, my first ever show was around this time, I guess now, what, 12 years ago? That's kind of crazy. But I was 9, and I played at an open mic night in Hackettstown at a place called Mama's Cafe Bocce, and it was, again, someone, that family friend had known of it, and then my mom was like, yeah, just go do it, and, have fun. And so, I opened it up and played, a couple songs on my own, and I just loved it. It was just a lot of fun, and I knew that it just was a good time. I wasn't particularly nervous or excited. I just was like pretty even keeled about like, oh, I just want to do that. That just sounds like something I want to do. And I still kind of feel the exact same way, having watched the Hawaii performance. That's kind of how I felt then too. It's just like, all right, yeah, let's do this. It's going to be great. So I did more open mics, and eventually that led to those places, just hiring me for other nights of the week or something like that. And then it all just kind of snowballed. And then I was doing a lot of that type of thing, whether it was at bars or street corners or ice cream shops or whatever it might have been. And then when the pandemic, light of day, I started doing and whatever. But really, it was when the pandemic hit, and I was I was a sophomore in high school when that happened, and there was a lot of time off because we really were, especially in that first couple months, barely doing school. And so that's when I really started to put the pedal to the metal and wanted to write and put out a record. And I had a bunch of songs that I'd written pre-pandemic that I'd been writing basically as long as I've been playing. But this was the time where I finally sat down and like ordered them and changed things out and put out a record. And then that's when I started coming out of the pandemic to do more ticketed events and more stuff with my original band and everything like that.
So Jake, I'm very curious. Did your parents musical at all? Did they play stuff? Do you have any siblings that play?
No, I'm the only one in my family, to my knowledge, that plays music, and I'm an only child, which lucked out for me because I was playing gigs when I was 9, and so from 9 to 17, my parents had to drive me everywhere and stay until they could drive me home, like 3 or 4 times a week sometimes, like in the summer, and
Oh,
so
lucky them.
yeah, I got really lucky to not have to compete with a ballet recital or a soccer practice or something like that.
Interesting. So at a young age, Bruce talks about how he's always got those notebooks. He's always writing something. He's observing, he's writing. He'll go back and like he'll pick parts of different things that he's written that he's not going to finish. He's not going to be, and he kind of plugs them in, where is needed. So being as young as you are, you said you started writing when you were, much younger. Do you ever go back and look at your old note? Like, well, first of all, how do you write? What are you writing on? And then do you go back and look at your older stuff to see if there's something there that you could
Yeah, for
repurpose?
sure. I mean, I'm pretty exclusively on paper in terms of writing. Like I for some there's something tactile that like helps me going. I mean, if I'm ever doing, I very very rarely will do a co-write, but if I do, it's like that's online because we can like look at the same thing. But yeah, I mean, I have notebooks and they look like this, and like I put the date there, and then just like after that I just they keep going and they keep stacking. But I very rarely go sort of that far back to the stuff I was writing when I was 9. I've tried a couple times. There's not much to pull from, at least that I think so right now. But yeah, I'll go one or two notebooks back, and I think some of my best songs are sort of Frankensteins of stuff I couldn't figure out when I was a verse I couldn't figure out when I was 20, and a verse I couldn't figure out when I was 16, and they kind of worked together, and I didn't realize I was finishing the story 4 years later until I saw them together a year after that.
Very cool. So I know you have a relationship with Mike Campbell to some degree. Mike Campbell, for those of you watching, was Tom's right hand man. He was his writing partner. He was producing partner in the studio. Can you talk to us about your relationship with Mike and where that came from?
Yeah, for sure. Being a Petty fan for my entire life, was always posting and sharing the covers of that. And in the meantime, Mike and his wife Marcy are co-president of an incredible charity called the Tazzy Fund, and they raise money with Rock the Dogs, and it's an animal rescue charity. And so I got involved with that at a pretty young age, just because it's a really important cause, and Mike is just a really important figure in my life, and so he kind of knew of me through that. Sort of tangentially, the Petty management, sort of knew of me just because I was a cute kid doing covers. And so, eventually, on the 40th anniversary tour, that kind of merged because they sent me tickets, which was, incredibly nice. And so I had front row tickets to what ended up being his last time playing in Jersey. I got them for Christmas. It was like, to Jake from Santa, don't open till Christmas. So I opened it immediately. It was like 4 days before Christmas. But When Mike heard that, kids coming or whatever, he invited me back, and that was the first time I got to meet. I never met Tom, but I did get to meet all the other Heartbreakers, and they've all been incredibly kind and supportive. But yeah, Mike especially has been really, really kind to me. And he's for my 18th birthday, he sent me this 1964 Tysco Delray, this like beautiful guitar with all these switches and knobs, and like it's a very Mike Campbell looking guitar. But connections like that with Petty and the estate and the band and the family have really meant the world to me because it's I've learned so much just from watching them. So getting to interact with them or play with some of them or whatever it may be has been really special to my development.
As far as your songwriting is concerned, what inspires you? What are you looking for? Do you listen to other musicians just to kind of hear how they construct their songs? What is your process?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I listen to music pretty much all day, and most of it involves me saying like, "Shit, that's really good," and getting angry at everybody else. But I think these amazing songwriters they really carve themselves as an amazing songwriter because of their abilities, and it's all very different. Like talking about Petty, I think the thing that impresses me most about him is his ability to say so much with so little. I mean, you take a song like "I Won't Back Down," and I mean, there's probably 8 lines in that entire song that just repeat, and it's still such an anthem, and like it works in all aspects, and you know, uh, it's sort of his ability to do that. I try to take from, and then you look at Bruce and you can see like his storytelling and his character development is like something that is in my opinion pretty unparalleled, like maybe Dylan, but like what I mean, like Springsteen to me, like that's my favorite part of his songs. And like it's nice for me to know that like I love them both. Petty's not writing Blinded by the Light, and Bruce probably wouldn't have written Free Fallin', and I get a real kick out of getting to listen to that and getting to hear sort of their instincts. And the further I go and the further I listen, I listen to a lot of modern artists too. And one of my favorite things about that is they pretty much all have my influences as well. So if I listen to a guy like Sam Fender, he's obviously influenced by Bruce, and it's really fun for me to hear what he's taken from that influence versus what I have and how it's the same and how it's different, and then getting influenced by that. So there might, a guy like Bruce is an influence and a grand influence in some regards based on the other people I listen to.
Where does one of the first times I saw you, Jake, you were doing a Jackson Brown tribute. Where did the love of Jackson Brown come in? And I just want to say you were so good. I have a friend who loves Jackson Brown even 3 times as much as Bruce. And I just started filming you and said, you have to check this guy out.
I appreciate it.
So what about the Jackson Brown connection? Where did that all come in?
Yeah, for the majority of my upbringing in music, when I was a big fan of Bruce and Petty and John Hyatt and people like that, Jackson was he was sort of on the fringes of all of it. I knew Running on Empty and I knew Doctor My Eyes, and that was about it. And he was just like the cool songwriter that I kind of heard of. And then I forget exactly when, but Dana Petty, Tom's wife, is a huge Jackson fan, and she had reached out to me and said, "I would love I would love to hear you play Barricades of Heaven," which is a song off of Looking East. Oh, no kidding. Oh, that's right. Yeah, we have talked about that actually, I
My
think.
favorite song.
It's I mean it's incredible, but I didn't know it, and so I'm not gonna say no to Dana Petty, so I looked it up, and it just as I'm sure it did you, how it just completely blew me away. So I said, all right, let me listen to the rest of this record. So I guess it's kind of an interesting story. To my first Jackson Brown record all the way through was Looking East, but then I sort of went all the way back and was like, oh wow, this is great, and it kind of lined up perfectly with the pandemic where I was just trying to consume as much music as possible anyway. And so, it was sort of a natural fit, and he fit right in with, loving Bruce and Petty and sort of that generation.
So, Jake, we're talking about all these great artists, and Bruce had his Stevie Van Zandt, his consigliere over his shoulder. They've known each other since they were 14, 15 years old. Tom and Mike had each other. Uh, Jackson and David Lindley kind of had that relationship to some degree. The thing about Petty that's different is they wrote together. They wrote together. Mike would write some of his own stuff, and Mike wrote Boys of Summer, brought it to Tom, and Tom was like, I don't, it's okay, but I don't think
Right.
we can do anything with
Really?
It's
this.
too jazzy, he said.
Yeah, and Mike was like, okay, well then I guess I'll shop it around a little bit, and Don Henley gets it. So like even as great of a songwriter as Tom was, and Mike tells the same story about I should have known it. Like uh, Tom didn't. Tom was just like, I don't know. I'm not going to do much with that. So it's, but no, Mike pushed and pushed and pushed. So these guys have their, their partners. Do you have anybody that you work with to bounce songs off of that you do any writing with?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've been really lucky to play with an incredible band, the last couple of years, and we're not Jake Thistle and the something, so that there is a little bit of movement in terms of people occasionally or subbing out or whatever. But for the most part, it's been a really core set of guys, and I'm really honored for that. It was a band I met who was also on my label, and I needed to go into the studio. I needed a band. They were in the label office also meeting, so my label was like, "You guys, just do it," And so we got along great right away. But yeah, so I've been playing with Mike Santa Cruz on drums and Mike Bresky on bass or keys, depending on the type of gig, and Nick Nella on guitar, bass, and recently, the last couple of years, I've also been playing with a guy named Johnny Cason, who's an incredible musician, and I'm just really grateful to sort of have them, in my corner and interpreting the songs. And for the most part, when I'm in the studio, with a couple exceptions, I'm sitting in a seat like this with a bunch of guitars around me and a producer's next to me, and we're saying, okay, let's do guitar, and I go do guitar, and then let's go play bass, and then I play bass, and then I sing and I play piano, and then the drummer, or the producer plays drums or whatever it might be. And I love that process because I guess I'm a little bit of a control freak and I know exactly what I'm playing because I played it. But it is really great to get to then bring the songs into a room and start to hear the personalities merge and really start to hear, what they want to do with the song. And almost every time it takes it to a new level. So, that really means the world. And, also that's one of my favorite things about getting to be on Idol is for every round, there's a little bit less people every round, but you're sitting in a room full of people that share that passion with you, and we're all around similar ages, so we all have, for the most part, similar influences or different influences, and we can kind of pass songs around, and that's been really, really special for me as well, is to get to sit there and talk with, this guy about this and that girl about this, and some of them make it through and some of them don't, and then you make new friends, each round. But that's been something that's been really important to me as well, getting to bounce ideas off of those people.
Take us through the process, Jake. How do you get on American Idol? How'd they find you? How did you find them?
Yeah, well,
How did it all start?
American Idol reached out around the summer. It was a producer had reached out, and they'd reached out to me previous years as well, but the timing was never right for me. I don't remember exact, whatever it was. I was on the road and I wouldn't have been able to make auditions, or school had gotten in the way, or I was putting out one year. I was about to put out this record, my EP, my first EP on the label, and it just was like, I think it'll be too much. One of them will get, why half-ass two things? We got a whole ass one thing. And so this year they reached out, and the timing just seemed right. I was wrapping up school. We have a record that we were recording, but we knew it wouldn't be out by the time it aired anyway, so it was a good chance for us to sit on it and really take our time. And so it all worked out, and so I went down to Nashville. I did my audition. I was on the road when I auditioned, so a lot of the people I got to meet for the first time in Hawaii, which was really special, because a lot of people were there for essentially the week, or at least some bit of days. But I played the Stone Pony the night before my audition, flew down to Nashville, did my audition, and then the day after that I was playing in Gainesville, Florida. And so it was really like a stop on the way and a lot of flights. And then I did a couple dates around Gainesville, and then flew back for Hollywood Week one day, and then flew straight home because I was playing in Red Bank that night. So it was a really busy time for me. And I was leaving for the big Light of Day Europe tour in a week anyway, so it was a tough window for me. But I really was only there about 2 days. It was also when the shutdown happened, so like I was supposed to be there 3 days, but I ended up in the Charlotte airport for 13 hours because everything got messed up. But so that was sort of my Nashville process, which was very fragmented, and I got to meet people in passing, but I didn't really get to sit with anyone, and I certainly didn't get to really hear anyone. But I just knew that it was a really supportive environment, and the producers were incredible, the judges were great, and I learned a ton. But then when we flew down to Hawaii, there was nowhere to go. I got to just hang with everybody, and we all got to see each other's performances in that Ohana round where we were all sitting there and getting to watch. And that was the first time I heard the vast majority of them. And that was an incredible experience too.
You're used to performing, but was there added pressure, or were you more nervous knowing you're in front of Lionel Richie and Carrie Underwood and a national TV audience? I mean, what's going through your mind there as you come out on stage?
Yeah, I mean, I was mostly just excited
Mhm.
because I love to learn. It's my favorite part about this, and having not taken formal lessons, the vast majority of what I know is playing on stage with people. And so I knew that process was going to be really important for my development. So I was really excited about that prospect. I will say the sort of strangest thing for me is having to uh, show who I am in 90 seconds and knowing that that 90 seconds is probably going to be cut down even further for the edit. So, for me, it was definitely that process of really trying to, be as authentic as I could from like my first step into that room. Because I'm used to the bare minimum being a half hour opening slot and, more used to it being 90 minutes. So that was definitely I guess the most daunting thing was to sort of like show what I do in 90 seconds. But that's what everyone has to do, and that's sort of that's the required like drip to get down into the next round. So I knew that we were all sort of on a level playing field on having to figure that out.
Think the only criticism we had on the first episode that we saw you on, and this was like in watching the feed, and I was, we almost had like our own watch party in Spring Nuts. The first time we knew you were going to be on, and the only criticism we had of American Idol was that we wanted to see the whole song, and to tell you the truth, the song choice was amazing. Because I never, I mean, I've seen you perform a bunch of times, and I'm sure like as everybody else has, it's something that I've never seen you done. When you that the song that you chose was one of my favorites. Can't Find My Way Home. It's a great song, and you did a phenomenal version of it. And I also felt like, when you're doing a whatever you're doing, a 90-second audition and it makes or breaks, and something that it was I felt like, not only it was a risk, but it was like, that's, I don't know how many times you've played that song in the past, but it's something I haven't seen you done, and I thought you did it brilliantly that night, brilliantly.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I tried to pick that strategically. I mean, for me, getting back to that 90-second thing, it was like I thought I saw it on the list of cleared songs. You can submit any song you want, but they sort of help you along by saying, we know all of these songs will clear. And so I saw that song on there and I was like, all right, well, it's bluesy and it's got that 60s vibe, but it's still that, Steve Winwood is always going to be Steve Winwood. And so it has that real pop chorus, and I just thought it was a fun thing to try and like cut down to 90 seconds. It's a relatively short form. It's a long enough song, but the verses are short, the choruses are short. It's easy to sort of chop up and not feel rushed and like I'm losing a bunch of stuff. So I thought it was easy. And, it's one I actually have played with my band a number of times. So I was really comfortable doing it. I could just walk
Okay.
in. I will say the difference is the next week when I played 17 Going Under by Sam Fender, that was a bit of a risk. That was the first time I'd ever
Right.
played it. Was on stage,
Wow.
for the shoot, barring a very short rehearsal earlier in the day. But that was one that just I wanted to do something high energy. I wanted to do something that the band could just like really rip behind me, and I knew we weren't going to get a lot of rehearsals, and that song is just kind of like all full steam ahead, a lot of fun. So that was kind of what went into doing that decision. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, that whole process of getting to pick the songs, and there's so many possibilities, and to narrow it down is sometimes like really tricky. But it's been a good time.
So when I was saying the risk, I was saying, like, because when you look at Steve Winwood's octaves and voice, it's much higher on the song, obviously. And I'm a fan of the raspy like Bruce, so it's fine by me. But it gave the song a whole different new element for me to hear it in that type of a tone, and that's why I really enjoyed it. And like I said, it happens to be one of my all-time classic songs that I love from the 60s and 70s, and so again, it was just when I say it, to hear it in your tone, it was really done in a beautiful way. And I'm glad the judges saw it that way too.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
So, Jake, you've been on stage with some pretty heavy hitters. You've been around the Heartbreakers, and you've been on stage at Light of Day with some pretty heavy hitters that we could name. Uh, was it different? But that's like a different thing. That's like 3 or 4 days of love. Like all these musicians are there, the fans are there. It's just a weekend of love and music. Was it a different change for you to walk in that room and knowing that you're in front of Carrie and Luke and um,
Lionel.
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 Lionel, knowing that they're judging you, knowing that they're literally judging you, for the purposes of the show? Is that an added pressure for you or no?
I mean, yeah, I guess by design it's a little bit of added pressure, but honestly, for me, it was sort of the thing of like, well, first of all, those days are really long for them, and in the case of Luke and Lionel, I think it's like their eighth or ninth year doing it, and Carrie second, so they are incredibly great at just you walk in, they set the environment, uh, it is what it is, and they're really great at sort of creating that warmth, and they've honed that skill so well, especially because I'm sure I mean they probably see in the initial auditions probably 100 people a day, something like that. I don't know the number, but so they are great, and the producers are great at sort of cultivating that environment. But for me, I knew that I was going to go in, and I have, because I have a lot of live experience. I don't have as much experience on socials or streaming, but because I've played live so much, I sort of knew what I wanted to do in those 90 seconds. So obviously that there is a sort of inherent nerve about knowing that they're literally getting paid to judge you and criticize you. But for me, it was more like I just wanted to go in there and be as authentic as I could, and if that's what they wanted or didn't want, I knew that that's what I was, and so that kind of calmed things down.
What was
So
the
if you
plane
can,
ride
sorry.
like back from Hawaii, knowing you had advanced that
Oh,
much?
it was
Like,
a good ride, and it was really great because we did that beach round over 2 days, the 10 and the 10, and that was, I mean, obviously it's high stakes, but in terms of like the here and now, no one was getting eliminated those days, so it was just a real fun time. I went the first day, so the second day, I mean, we still had stuff to do during the day, but once like the show started, me and the other 10, and we'd all become really great friends, sort of had the day off, and it was just great to watch everybody and be in that environment. They cultivate such an amazing environment, the producers and the stagehands and everything, and we all got to know everyone really well. And so it was a really great last couple of days. The whole trip was incredible, but to not have those nerves of like, okay, today I find out if I'm on the show or not, and then having to sit on that till it airs. I think I'm in a really lucky position because I know as much as you guys do now. When I know I'm off the show, you know I'm off the show. So there's I don't have to like promote an episode biting my nails. It's like, oh, everyone's gonna see me get eliminated. Like I don't know when it's gonna happen. We'll figure it out together.
You're off the show. You off the show. We riot.
Well, I appreciate it, but I'm just there to have fun.
how hard has it been with family, friends? I guess they know. Don't ask me. I'm not allowed to tell before it airs. So do they understand that, or have they been good?
I think so. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm a little laconic anyway, if you can believe it or not. So I'm a pretty tight vault for the most part. Maybe my publicist would disagree, but I think so.
I just want to tell a story. I mean, so ever since you went on Idol, by the way, okay, and we've been promoting in the group, and all the people have been promoting on their pages. For some reason, I get people that are trying to tell me they're trying to convince me that they're the ones that introduced introduced you to me, or to Spring Nuts or whatever. And I don't know why they had the need to do this, but it was from my recollection, I think it's going back to the story you told earlier, was that when you went to East Street, you did something for East Street fans back in
Mhm.
the UK and whatever, and we were doing the serenade one year. It was our second year doing it, and I remember Pauline and Steven said to me, you may. This is how I recollect it, but that you want to check this guy out. He'll be a great addition because we were having live acts one of those days of our events, and but then they told me, at the time you were 12 or 13, and I'm like, I was like, okay, I never did that before, but all right, and I saw some of the videos, and obviously very impressed, but again for the age and whatever, and it's okay. So let's. But then I spoke to you. Actually, it wasn't even there. It was so much that the fact that when I spoke to you, for the first time. I was so impressed the way you carried yourself and whatever. And me and Jules said, this is a no-brainer. Let's bring him in, whatever. And we had you perform and whatever. But I remember, so it was at Danny Clinch's, Transparent Gallery. It was the first year. It was back in 2018, I think it was. And I remember we discussing the set list beforehand because we were just sharing everything, and we wanted to make sure that the songs were not, you know, with the other artists that were performing, they weren't gonna clash. And then I saw one of the songs and I looked at it and I'm like, uh, you know, Jake, are you gonna have a sax player, join you on this song? And you said, no, I'm doing this one solo. And I'm like, okay. And I was like, okay, so, I'm first. I want to see if you have any alcohol on your breath because because this was like pretty daring. I'm like, oh, you have a 12-year-old that wants to do not only one of Bruce's most iconic songs, but to do that iconic song without a sax solo, which is the, in my opinion, and I know many people will agree with me, the greatest sax solo of all time by any artist, and it's like almost, rock and roll suicide, especially you're doing it in front of the rabid spring nuts that are, and with the talking about the song is Jungle Land, okay? All right, so I'm like, oh, you sure you can do it? Yeah, and you say it. So then I actually found the video, and I'm gonna play it later on. But it was when you're doing it, and you actually go in, you intro the song by saying, and again, we're talking about a 12, 13-year-old kid here, and in front of a packed house of Danny Clinch's gallery, and he says, Howie, asked me about the song before I go into it and how we're gonna do it. And I'm like, I guess we're gonna see. and well, we'll see it together. And I'm like, oh, fantastic. I'll be giving that. And long story short, okay, you absolutely had everybody's jaw drop on the floor, including mine, because I couldn't believe. I mean, it's one thing just to, you did the song right, but when you got to the sax solo, you played a gorgeous, gorgeous guitar solo that you made people, I dare to say, at least for what we were doing at the Serenade, forget there was even a sax solo there, and it just. And at the end of the song, you got an amazing, well deserved for sure, um, standing ovation for that song. And it wasn't so much what you did. It's like, we're talking about risk. We're talking about for a 12 or 13-year-old to go up in front of a bunch of rabid Springsteen fans and pull one of Bruce's most iconic songs and make it your own. That's the key here, that you made it your own. Was just absolutely amazing to me. That was like one of the moments, and then you were doing things for us with Spring Nuts throughout the years, and that was a no-brainer. Like now, like forget it, you could do whatever you want. I
Thank
don't
you.
care what song you pick. But one thing that also stood out for us, so bringing up again what something you brought up before was the pandemic. And during the pandemic, we were we were doing virtual shows to keep, the morale and spirits up and whatever. And, we had, certain people, come on and do their shows. And I don't know if you remember this, but okay, you did a 7-hour show.
How could
Okay.
I not remember it?
Okay. 7 hours. Okay. And this is in the literal sense, people out there. I'm not exaggerating. There were people in the UK, there were people international that went to bed, okay, went to bed saying, okay, I'm signing off, and came back hours later and he was still playing, okay, he was still playing. And, you were taking, it was like Stump Jake Thistle. You were taking requests, okay, and it was all for charity. Also, we were doing it for charity at that point, and you were taking requests, and anybody that would pull something out of their ass, just like like, can you play this? Can you play this? And you were just like, and you were going from your electric guitar to your acoustic guitar to the piano to the literally 7 hours of you playing, and which I thought was ridiculous. And and then the next guest, like, I can't do 7 hours. I'm like, no, we don't want you to do 7
Yeah,
hours.
yeah.
No, we're good. We're good. That's just a Jake thing, and Jake is Jake, and in Jake we trust. So okay, but that's as far as we're going. But I just remember those specific 2 stories that stood out to me about what you've done for our group, and why the group loves you so much. As far as what you've given to them, and how when you're in Jersey and when you're at the Serenade, or where you're doing anything for Spring Nuts or whatever, is they know it's like you're in a Bruce, you're in a Bruce realm now, because whatever you're gonna do, you're gonna deliver 110%, and that's amazing for someone that was. We've grown up with you from 12 and 13, and I don't know, how old are you now? 20.
21 or 45. We're
You,
still out.
you have an old soul for sure.
Yeah.
You have an old soul for sure. But for the 9 years that we've known you now, it's been amazing. And it's great to see, like, you hooking up with Joe Durso and Light of Day, and I remember seeing you, which was also a great thing for me personally. I will say, is that I remember seeing, we were at the American Music Honors one of the years, and I saw you standing. You were just standing on the side, on the corner, and I remember seeing Jackson Brown, and I remember seeing even Bruce, whatever. And then it, I mean, I actually want to ask you this question. What was it? I saw you meet Bruce and Jackson Brown, during, I guess in the back and whatever, and we definitely there's a huge comparisons to you and Jackson Brown, obviously for what the covers that you do, but what was it like meeting Jackson Brown, and does he know that that you've covered his whole album, from start to finish?
Yeah, Jackson is so unbelievably generous with his time and his memory. I really don't know how he does it, but he's one of the kindest, supportive people that I've been lucky enough to meet. And you know, I met him in passing very briefly at the I forget at the Kristen and Carf dinner in Tribeca,
Oh yeah.
and it was he was playing and I was there and it was kind of just one of those. Denny Clinch introduced us, which was incredibly nice of him, but it was a very quick like, oh, this is Jake, this is Jackson, Jake likes Jackson, Jake's a songwriter, and he plays some of your songs. It was like that, it was really quick, and then Jackson did a great set, and he kind of went off and was Jackson Brown to the room as I'm sure he was supposed to be. But months passed, maybe over a year, and then I saw him at the American Music Honors and came right up. He's like, Jake Thistle, how you doing? It was like unbelievable. Like it was it was an incredible moment, and I've been lucky enough to speak with him, a small number of times now, and he's always really generous with his time and his advice, and getting to talk with him is certainly an honor, as it is any of those guys that I look up to so much. And so I'm really honored for those experiences because they mean a lot to me, just as a sort of fan of music and music history, and getting to talk with people that are in such of the vernacular of amazing American songwriters.
Jake, if you're going to American Music Honors again this year, April 18th, Jackson will be there again this year.
I heard.
You said that, yes.
Yes.
You were. I know you've been there the past few years. Jackson on his own just wanted to be there. He's not being honored. He was already, but he likes it so much. So maybe he wants to go again.
Yes. Well, I will be there if America doesn't vote for me. But if America votes for me, I may still be in LA. So we'll have to see what happens.
We want them to vote. We want them to vote for you.
So it's up to you guys if you want me to be at the honors or not.
Well, this is a good time, Jake. So it doesn't get Jake. Why don't you tell people how to vote?
So this is the first year that they are doing social voting in addition to some of the more traditional methods. So that's very exciting. I believe they're the first show to do it, which is great. But voting opened at the top of the show at 8 o'clock Eastern, which is when it airs on ABC. And they have an official voting post that American Idol has pinned. That's at American Idol on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And to vote, all you have to do is comment the correct spelling of someone's first name. For this example, Jake, but you could vote for whoever you'd like. I won't
No,
lobby.
no.
But no, you would write Jake, and that counts as one vote. You can vote up to 10 times on each platform, which means you can comment Jake in a comment, 10 separate comments to vote for me 10 times on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, which equals 30 times. So that's social voting. You can vote up to 30 times socially by doing that. In addition, you can vote on the website. I believe it's American Idol. Yes, it's americanidol.com/vote. And you can vote for me up to 10 times there. And you can also text the number two like that, to the number 21523. You can also do that up to 10 times. My number is 2 because I was second in the batting order when the show aired. So that's 50 ways that you can, or I guess 3 ways that you can vote for me 50 times.
21523 was that text? Number
21523. And
215.
Just turn around, Stan. It's right behind you.
It's right behind you, buddy.
Yes. Yeah, thank you.
How could
I wrote it down too.
Right.
Jake,
All right.
people can vote till 6 a.m. the following day after the show airs. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. It opened at 8 p.m. Eastern, which is right when the show started, and it goes until 6 a.m. And that's because these Hawaii rounds are pre-recorded, so they will not reveal the results live, obviously, because there are no results, because we recorded that before this happened. It will be a tighter window for the live shows in LA. I won't speak on that because I probably will get some of the details wrong because it's still in my peripheral, But that's what's going on today and next week, if you care to vote for anyone next week. It's the 10 going this week are up against each other, so the bottom 3 will go home. And the 10 going next week are up against each other, so the bottom 3 will go home. So it's the bottom 3 from each week that will equal 6. It's not 6 of everybody,
And then going forward, I don't know the structure of the show because I haven't watched for a while up until this season. So going forward, the bottom 3 go home from each 10, and then going forward, 1 goes home each week, or 2 people?
They start with 2, I believe. So when we get to LA, I think the first thing they will do for the first live round is reveal the bottom 6. Thank you very much. And then the top 14 will all perform. America will vote for their favorites for the top 14, and then at the end of that episode, they will reveal the top 12, and then it will start going on like that.
Understood.
So I have a question. The people that you're with in Hawaii and whatever, now you got to know them. Have you guys tight? Or you guys, make any relationships as far as talking about music and this and that? I mean, what's the vibe over there?
It's been incredible. Everybody's been really supportive of each other, really nice. There's not any of that sort of, at least to my knowledge, there's not been any sort of like reality show level drama / sabotage. And what you see is what you get. I mean, it's an incredible group of the top 20 and the top 30, and it's an incredible group of musicians that are all really nice and really supportive of each other. And I still am in contact with a great deal of the people from the top 20 every day, but they're incredible, and the bond extends beyond American Idol. And I think, obviously I guess I can't speak for everyone, but the vast majority, everybody is really excited to see everyone succeed. And so I'm just really honored to, get to stick around, an extra week, even if it's just to hang out and learn from them. Because we all come from different backgrounds, different places of the country. We play different types of music. We play music different ways. And it's been a real great experience to get to figure that out with them. So all of their front row tickets are about to get really expensive. So I'm just glad I can stay around another week to see them play for free,
Do the judges mentor you at all? Or, do you get any feedback from them whatsoever other than what they tell you when you're performing in front of them, or just, week to week you're performing?
Yeah, I mean, the vast majority of the judges are the vast majority of the feedback from the judges is on camera, but it's all really valuable, and there's usually more than what makes the edit as well. And that's sort of definitely a priority when it comes to picking my next song or picking what I want to do is listening to what's important to them, and what they want to see for the next round. And I can't speak for every season, but this season it seems like they're really one of their big things they keep trying to hammer into us is how important authenticity is and being genuine. And so that's was my priority going into the show anyway. So I think it's a good fit.
All
And
right, that's who you are. You authentic.
I'm New Jersey. I'm not gonna play
Jersey,
somebody
right.
else. I'll
Exactly.
be myself.
Jake, have
Jake.
you found you've been on national TV now a few times? You go out and people who may not have noticed you before go, "Hey, you're the guy from I've seen on TV from American Idol." Have you
It
had that at
happens.
all?
It happens occasionally for sure. Yeah. I don't go out much. I mostly sit in this chair and play guitar. But yeah, when I do go out, sometimes that does happen.
There goes
Seldom.
the privacy and the paparazzi and autographs and selfies. There, get ready.
We'll
Jake,
see
you
what
brought it
happens.
up. You brought it up. The Jersey attitude, one of my favorite moments of all time between Stevie and Jimmy Iovine was on American Idol. Jimmy was there coaching, and he brought Steve in. And these kids only know Jimmy as like Jimmy Iovine, this mega superstar of beats and everything else. Theirs was Stevie, and Jimmy was giving one of the contestants some feedback, and Stevie's like, "Jimmy, back off, give this kid a break, would you?" He like hits him on the shoulder, and this girl was like, "Oh my God, who is this? Who is this person hitting Jimmy Iovine?" It's like these guys have known each other for 50 years. This is what they do. But that's the Jersey attitude. Are you the only New Jerseyan out of the 20?
Yes, there were some incredible talent from New Jersey this season. I am the last one standing right now, but I'm very grateful to be representing the state.
Very awesome.
A
You
great
were in a
state.
tourism commercial last year. Will you be in one this year again? I go, there's Jake on Jersey Tourism.
Yeah, I don't exactly know their plans to air it, but I do know that I signed my contract was for 5 years on that, and we
Oh,
worked, and
great.
it runs every summer, and we're
Mhm.
2 summers in, so you'll be sick of me everywhere.
Possible.
Jake,
Julie,
what?
Julie, you must have a question. Come on,
Yeah,
Julie. What do you got?
absolutely.
You guys are like hitting all the points. I want to know the silly things. I want to know, like, you run into somebody like Bruce or Jackson Brown backstage. Like, what do you say? Like, are you just like us? Are you like, or you like start talking about music so they take you seriously more? You know what I mean? Like, what do you do?
Yeah, it kind of depends on what the situation is and how much time I think I'm gonna get. I try to go when I'm meeting someone I really respect that doesn't know me. I do my best to go the mutual friend route. I mean, it's such a small music scene, so a lot of us know a lot of other people, and so I try to say, "Hey, I'm Jake. I'm a songwriter. I'm a good friend of blank." But if I don't have that connection, I just try my best. Especially with a guy like most of the interactions I've had with Bruce are from the archives when he's doing the
Mm.
symposiums. I've met him, I guess, twice there and then a couple light of days. But I don't know if you guys know this, but he's Bruce. So, like, he's always going to be Bruce. And I never really want to bother that because, especially when his name's on the building, like it is at Monmouth. I figure I try to keep it light with him and just say, so the last time I spoke with him was. Well, very briefly at Light of Day, but like the last time I spoke with him, like was at the archives when I did the Born to Run symposium. I played night for that. They invited a bunch of songwriters, and it was a great time. But the E Street Band was there later for that event later in the week, and so I just said, hey, obviously a big fan because I'm here, but I played night the other day and it was great, great bunch of songwriters. So thanks for doing that or whatever. And so that was kind of my in for that was just explaining that I had been a part of the event and you know he's I try to be quick and to the point.
Yeah, I think that's how we all are when we're around him. You know what I mean? You just don't want to
Right.
bore him. You don't want Bruce to get bored with you. But
Exactly.
he definitely knows who you are at this point, for sure.
Oh, well, I appreciate that.
Jake,
And
for those watching at home, Julie will come back. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
okay.
So for people that at home watching that don't know you necessarily, social media, Facebook, Insta,
Yeah,
X.
I am Jake Thistle Music everywhere for the most part. So on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, at Jake Thistle Music, and my website is jakethistle.com where it has links to everywhere you can find me.
Gotcha. Julie, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah. Jake, I've been impressed. I've noticed more on Facebook, all these people who you've known along the way, whether it's Tony Palagrosi, Danny Clinch, Joe Durso, Connie Freestone, the photographer, Alexander Yardville in Sweden, are all posting their connection to you. Like they are so proud to know you and go Jake.
That's very kind. Yeah,
Yeah.
the support means the world. This is doing American Idol has been, a blast, but I know it is it's a little outside of the norm for, the type of content I normally do. So the support means the world, and I was really hoping for that, going into it, that people would be excited about it, and I knew I was going to kind of be in people's faces in a way I'm not always. So I appreciate the support during all that process.
Jake, we're so behind you. Everybody's so excited.
Well, thank you.
I know you're a man now, but it's like just to piggyback on what Julie and Stan are saying right now is that we all felt like we like adopted you, and I always say that to your parents, who are unbelievable, by the way. We just adore Greg and Jill, and they did an amazing, amazing job with you, by the way.
Oh,
Um,
well, thank you. I'm thinking
but
about keeping them.
yeah, I think that's a good move on your part, by the way. Good move. But the everyone like Williams Honor. I don't know if you saw Reagan's post today on her
Mhm.
own page, which was amazing, beautiful, beautiful post, and for someone that has ADD, and that was long. And I took the time. I thought it was really good. So, you know. It's everyone just is the whole state of. I mean, I can only speak from Springnuts perspective and just seeing from what we're seeing from the group and from Jersey, the music scene that we're involved in, everyone's just pulling for you in every way possible. Um, I do want you to be, I do want you to speak about what you've done. I would like you to talk about, your projects, past and present, and even future, if possible, meaning of what you've done, your albums that you put out, your EPs. So, we want people to, get to know who don't know because, not everybody is a Spring Night or whatever, and American Idol or whatever. We want people to know what you have out there so we can promote it.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you so much. I've had a great time, putting out music, and Idol's been a big part of that. And so my latest single is a song called "Sleep on Me," which I recorded, with some friends that I know through Tom Odell's. It's his amazing rhythm section, and we recorded that up in Boston, and it was a great time. And so that single came out around last month. We waterfalled it with a couple other singles I have out for this, sort of new series of songs. Couple that were produced by Butch Walker down in Nashville, which was a blast, and some that we recorded right here in Asbury with a great producer named Tyler Sarfit, and that was a lot of fun. And yeah, a new record is coming this year. That'll sort of be spoken about more after Idol when there's less of a deluge of things that are running around about me. But yeah, I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited about the batch of songs. It's not totally done yet, but it's the vast majority of it is there, and so I can't wait. It's going to be my second release, my second, sort of collection release on Golden Retriever Entertainment, which is, been my label, and so I'm really excited. We had an album out called The Half Left Out a couple years ago that I'm really proud of as well through them.
Well, I was very happy that you used my hometown in one of your songs, "Brooklyn Can't Wait," because I'm a Brooklyn, I'm from Brooklyn,
Of
and
course.
you know, Brooklyn can't wait really, but but we'll we're gonna wait.
Thank you.
And whatever we can do to promote and help, we're always behind you, Jake.
Oh,
So,
it's so kind of you guys. It really means the world.
Jake, my last question for you, and then I'm going to let you go. Everybody else can sign off. It's just, I know you're a smart guy. The first time I talked to you a couple years ago, you were still going to school and doing this at the same time. Like, I don't know how this guy does all this stuff in school. Okay, give me your favorite Bruce album, and your top Tom Petty album.
Oh man. Oh gosh. That's a tough one. I mean, with Bruce, it's like, there was a while where I was going Western Stars just because it was off the beaten
Mm.
path, and I loved it. And I still think it's a zero skip album. Like I can put that on, and the atmosphere in that is good. But I don't know. It's hard for me to say that and not include.
Take Born to Run out of the mix. Take Born out of the Run
Yeah,
out of the
yeah.
mix.
Well,
Then you
that's what I
can
was
do
gonna
everything
say.
else.
I think you know what? It might be Darkness. I might say Darkness. And just the reason I say that is because I always said Western Stars, and I still believe that, of course. But we did the Born to Run symposium, and it was a blast. I also did the Greetings symposium. I wasn't able to be at the Wild and Innocent, but I know that one was a ton of fun as well. And so when I was done with the Born to Run one, every time I go, I wonder what songs I'm going to get. Maybe I'll get to pick. Maybe I'll be assigned. It doesn't matter. And I looked down the list. I was like, let me pick a song I want to do from Darkness in case I get invited to that one. And I pulled up the song list, and I was just like, what does it even matter? They're all, I mean, like, come on. It's not even fair. Why can't I get one of those songs on one album would not be fair, let alone just a Murderer's Row right down the list. So I'll say Darkness for the purposes of this.
Dude,
Okay.
Yes.
I'll say, dude, you did a version at the Serenade for someone that requested of Racing in the Street, which
Oh
is
my God.
my nose, and the person that requested it, okay, and you got it. I don't know if you remember, it was Karen Howard, and she got it for her husband. Okay, she bought it for her husband.
That's right. And he
That
was
song-
crying.
And he was crying.
Yep.
The guy was crying. Okay, so
I remember that.
yeah.
Yeah, no, well, I appreciate that. I might have to. I mean, it's an incredible track list. It's like I said, it's not fair. It's not.
And what about Petty? I think he asked you about Tom.
Oh yeah, that's right. I mean, that's one that it's just like it's sort of impossible to not say Wildflowers for me. I mean, it's kind of the basic answer, and I love to be off the beaten path. I'm a huge fan of Mojo. I'm a huge fan of Full Moon Fever and Echo is another, that whole era, that whole like kind of like post Full Moon. I mean, I love the early stuff, but like it was such a stride that he hit with Rick Rubin and everything. Following Wildflowers, but I'll say Wildflowers just because.
All right.
Just for crawling back to you, it's worth it.
We got Darkness and Wildflowers, two excellent choices.
Wait, let's throw Jackson Brown in there too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh wow! All right, Jackson. I'll say I'm Alive for Jackson Brown. That one,
Really?
little off the beaten path, but I love Sky Blue and Black. I'm Alive. Mike Campbell
great
played a little
album.
bit on that record. Ben Montench played a little bit on that record. It's that's a cool cast on that. So I'll say that.
Cool.
Even against Late for the Sky?
I mean, what? I'll stand by it. I'll double down. Why not? That's a fair argument for sure. But I'll
All right,
double down.
I gotta
Why
play
not?
that one now. Okay.
That's what we'll be listening to in the kitchen tonight. So.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Jake. Yeah, this was
So-
great.
I just
Of
want to
course.
say, I want to thank, Ryan and Stan and Jules. And obviously, I want to thank Christina, who's from American Idol. I want to thank Brett, also from American Idol. I want to thank Disney for allowing this to do this again. But we have to say, okay, so again, guys, you're watching this. Okay, once you get off of this and watching this, you vote. Show them how to vote, Ryan. You did that really well, by the way.
Right behind
Exactly.
Stan. Text 2
Oh,
to
right.
21523.
21523. You get on your computers, get on your phones, get on your tablets, whatever it is. You vote. Keep voting.
Vote.
Vote.
Up
Thank
to
you,
10
guys.
times.
And keep voting. And I
Yeah.
just want to say in closing, okay, Jake, on a personal note, I want to thank you for doing this. Okay, as usual, I want to thank you for everything you've done for Spring Nuts and for the Asbury music scene, just for everyone out there. You carry yourself. One of the things I'm always most impressed, and I know I speak for a lot of people, is the way you carry yourself. You're very humble. You're very respectful. Even when you, from 12, from the day I spoke to you, from this day, forward, you have been the respectful, humble, and just I like to classify you as an old soul, but you're really. I will say that you are one of the people that I could say that rock and roll is in good hands. Okay, because if you keep doing what you're doing, you don't have to listen. We want you to win American Idol. You got that? You're
All
winning
right.
this damn thing. Okay, come hell out of water. But even God forbid you didn't, you are our American Idol regardless. Okay.
Well, thank you.
Ooh,
I'm
nice.
I'm there to have fun. I'm there to meet people, and I promise that's not my media trained answer. That's really
I
what
know,
I think,
and I
and
know.
so it really means the world, to be here right now and everything we've done in the past. And so I appreciate you guys having me.
Well, we
Thank
appreciate
you.
And thank you, Jake, and
Thank
go
you.
Jake. Okay, go Jake.
Yeah.
Go,
Thank
Jake.
you.
Jake.
Vote.
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 All right. Thanks so much, Jake.
Thanks, Jake.
Of course. Thank you,
Great,
guys.
buddy.
Appreciate
All
it.
right.
All
But
right.
if we mentioned
All
vote.
Yes.
Vote.
All
Okay.
right.
Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Awesome. Thank you,
Great.
Jake. That
Thank
was
you, Jake.
Of course. Thank you, guys.
Christina.
All
right.
How'd we
Whoa.
do, Christina?
Yeah, hopefully we didn't.
Everything was great. It was so much fun getting to know your background, Jake, especially since this is the first time we're
That's
interacting,
right.
and
Yeah.
very cool. I do have one note. It says in the top that this meeting is being live streamed. I didn't want to mess up the recording in progress, but
It's
am
not being
flagging
live
that.
streamed. I don't know why it's.
Okay.
I don't know why
Yeah,
it
no,
says that. I'm sorry.
1000%. It's not being live. We didn't
No,
live.
it's not.
Just making sure. No
Yeah,
worries.
No.
Normally we get comments, so there was no comments or anything. Yeah.
No.
No,
The
this
way
is
we
just
live
us.
stream it in the past is that we would take the Zoom feed and Ryan would stream it into our Facebook, but we didn't do that this
Yeah.
time. We just recorded the interview. So I think what it meant by live stream, well, I shouldn't be live stream, it should be recorded. It should have said, but we definitely didn't go live at this time.
Yeah, this is not on socials or anything. So
So
Okay,
the next,
perfect. No
with
worries.
your approval, the next thing is like we were speaking about is that Ryan is going to upload it on our YouTube, but it's not going to be shared. But after the show airs tonight, we are going to put out the link on our groups and with the viewing parties that are going out around Jersey. We know that Ringside Pub is doing one and the Wonder Bar is doing one for Jake, so we're going to share it with them so they can show their viewers after American Idol ends. That's okay with you?
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. Thank
Okay,
you.
excellent. Thank you
Good.
so much, Christine. I appreciate you being here and overseeing this, and we hope it was enjoyable for you as well.
Yes, I got to learn so much.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Of course.
All right,
Thank you
guys.
for having me.
All right.
have a good
Good
night.
night, everyone.
Have
Good
a
luck,
great
Jake.
night.
Thank
You're
you.
the world. Thank you guys so much.
Yes, we'll
Thanks a
see
lot.
you.
Jake. Go, Jake.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye now.
Bye.